There was John and Juan.
Good morning. Thanks for, good afternoon. Thank you guys so much for coming today. I know that you are extremely busy people because your jobs are to help kids. Our jobs are to help adults. I think your jobs might be a little bit more important than ours, but I'm not going to say that out loud. So first of all, I wanted to thank you. I know that we came out and visited with you, so thank you for allowing us to come out. Just to give you a serious statement, the SAT and SAT is new for our schools, for you, for your students, for your teachers, for your principals. So we wanted to make sure that you guys got a little extra attention. And I will tell you that that came from both of you as well as the team. So I'm really thankful to my colleagues in the assessment team. They said, nah, we got to go out. So I'm really glad that you guys let us come out. Thank you also for meeting again. We did also meet with you in December. I was sick, but anyway, you guys were here, so thank you again. But I know it's so important. Oh, I'm Chris West. Sorry, I'm got a lot of competition. Senior Director of Strategic Analysis and Program Research, and I'm currently the Interim Director of the Assessment Team, so I've had the pleasure of working with the assessment team. Those of you who have been with the district, you probably know there's like amazing people on the assessment team. They've taught me a lot, and I'm sure that you have also taught them a lot, so thank you. But I was going to say, I do know from working in other places in my life, in other districts, that school testing coordinators are so essential, especially in large districts. Because if the people in the schools don't feel comfortable or confident about what's happening, it'll fall apart. So I wanted to say to you guys, please, please, please reach out to the assessment team if you feel any insecurity. I'd rather than spend time with you guys than sitting and looking at who's taking iReady or iStation if there's discomfort in your schools. So please reach out to them. We do have that assessment at ats.edu email address. Please use it. One thing that I hope that you've noticed, Lori Boylan, who's not here today, but she put a lot of time into that site, the assessment site, which I've really been excited about how it's grown. Do you guys see things that you're like, would have been helpful for me if we had that? Please tell us. You guys gave us really good feedback for the last STC training we had in the winter, and I'm really proud the team really took it seriously. So they offered a little bit more sessions. But please tell us, because we actually read it. And we take it very seriously because we're very self-critical. I think hopefully in a positive way. But I did want to introduce you to this team. So we do have Christoph Runders here, Misty Miller, Rhonda Davis, Melissa Ariano, Shelly Robinson, Claudine Sanchez, and we don't have Mario with us, but Mario Borica. And Lori Boylan, who I mentioned. And if you don't know Mario is a wonderful person that you guys see when you return the testing materials. And he and Claudine, they amaze me how they get all this stuff out to you guys, but obviously it doesn't get to school without you guys, so thank you. And we also have our technology folks. Miranda just left, and we have Joseph as well. I got through like 10 names. I messed up the last one. So anyway, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that I got to see you guys and say thank you because we do appreciate you. And just like we do on Sapper, please reach out to us because it makes us feel better if we go home and go, I helped somebody today. That's what gives us, because we don't get to go, wow, I helped that kid. So you guys get to have a little bit more of that than we do. But please really push us. Also, we're trying to be more, with Shelly Robinson on the team and Lord Boylan, we're also trying to make things more available electronically. Doesn't mean we can't give you paper things, but we're just trying to make things more centrally located, so that's available as well. All right, so I think I shot a lot of information in your heads probably. So I'm going to stop talking, but please let us know if you have any questions at the end. If you want to come up, let us know. Just don't feel afraid. Also, if you have suggestions, those are always welcome as well. Because you might have a great idea about something that works in your school that might benefit our other schools. So please just let it flow. Great, so thank you. So I think I'm going to let, is it Rhonda up first? Or who's up first? Melissa. All right, thank you.
Oh no, the technology.
Oh, the technology first. I introduced them, but then I skipped over them. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Hey guys, so we're from District Technology. I recognize some of your faces from the schools and also from the last time we did this. So So we're here again to talk to you guys about entering a ticket, both getting ready for testing and also at the time of testing if you have any issues. So that's really the only thing that we're changing and emphasizing. Just before this, we actually were informed of an issue at one of our schools that, again, we hadn't been notified of. So if you are having any issues during testing, please enter in a ticket. The best way to do that is going to be to call the help desk, so the 830-8080. They will forward those tickets onto us right away, and those are high priority. So what that means is it shows up, and we usually get a notification right away saying, hey, at this school there's an issue that needs to be taken care of right away, and then we get out to the field or as quickly as we can to your school to resolve whatever problems. You can also put in a ticket through the online, so you can do that by going to aps.edu, going under technology, and it'll say put in a Sharewell ticket, you sign in, and it'll send it to us. Those get routed through service desk first, though. So those sometimes take a few minutes. So if you've ever tagged one of us in the hallway and said, hey, I put in a ticket, and we say we haven't gotten it, it's because service desk sifts through all of those tickets and then sends them on to us after that. We need also specific information from you guys when you enter a ticket. So the carts that you're using, the lab, if it's only one computer, whether it's a Dell, a Mac, etc., try to provide as much specific information as possible, and that way we'll be prepared when we come out to see what's going on. Then our last slide, again, is just our information for each of our learning zone leads. This is actually going to change though, but for right now, that's the current information. They're about to talk to you guys about all of the specific information you'll need for testing, but if you still have any questions after that, feel free to put in a ticket. And for us right now, does anybody have any questions?
Is the new testing browser built into everybody's profile?
So we have to install those.
Do we have to put hands on every machine, or can you do it through Landesk?
We are going to try to be pushing some of that stuff remotely. However, I can tell you right now, ARD hasn't been cooperating 100% with us. So Apple's been the one that we're having a little bit of issues with, and Landesk is kind of hit or miss also, both with Mac and PC. So generally, we do try to remotely push things as much as possible, which is why you guys have seen things pop up on your screen when we're not there. However, with some of the new updates, it is possible that we will have to go hand touch machines.
Can we run the script on our login?
That I can't tell you yet. Some of that stuff we will try to make sure that testing coordinators have access to. And generally, you guys can run it under you. I know right now, though, we're going to be trying to prepare for testing. So at district level, we're going to be hand touching or pushing stuff out to make sure that it works.
It'd be beneficial if testing coordinators had access to be able to push and change some of those, because there's some of those machines crash in the middle of a test, and then to put in a ticket and you guys have to come out. We've extended the time and probably invalidated that test at some point.
Okay.
So our ability to be able to do that would be
Beneficial.
Yeah.
So what we ask, and it's up there also, and it's included on your slides, is at least a month in advance for tests. That's always been the standard, is putting in a ticket a month ahead of time. Include that if you're going to enter a ticket for your school. If you want access to something and you need a copy of whatever the latest version of software is, or whatever it is, the secure browser, etc., include that in the ticket. And that way we'll make sure to touch on that. What school are you from? Okay, so that one's not in my zone. Yes?
Well, just on that same thing, so if we've already had people come out and do our labs and everything, like when are we gonna start seeing those on there? I mean, is the New Mexico ASR, is that gonna be the New Mexico Science web browser from before, or is it a new one?
So some of that stuff has updated, and they're going to be touching on that today, actually. And some of those new updates we are currently working on getting them out in the school. One of our top people is actually remotely pushing some of that stuff out. And then some of those other things we are going to have to hand touch computers, especially if they're not working. So at the end of this, like I said, if you still have questions and you're not sure whether we've come and looked at your computer or not, or you're not sure what to look for, which they've done a pretty good job outlining, this will be used for this test, etc. But if you're still not sure at the end of that, enter a ticket in for that and be as specific as possible. I'm using this lab. I don't know if this is in installed, or I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking for. Can someone come out and look at it for me? Does that make sense?
Right, but I mean, I've already had to come out and update all my computers and all that, so like, I still need to go back through and then check every single computer, like, or is.
No. So what zone are you in? Or what?
3,
Okay.
I'm E-Academy, so like I'm New Futures is one, E-Academy is another, and Freedom is another one, and so
Okay.
4 I believe was circumstance.
Okay, I was gonna say yeah. So I'm not in your zone, so I can't tell you by looking at it. But again, if you're unsure, I would enter a ticket and say, I've had you guys look at this, but I don't know what I'm looking for, or I do know that we're using this for whatever test. And then somebody can come either look at it, or you'll get a call from one of us just asking you like, well, hey, what are you looking for, etc. Because there were some new software updates, some of them come up the bottom, some of them we have to install, and you're not in my zone, so I can't tell you from experience. I haven't touched your school at all, so I don't know off the top of my head.
Are we using a generic login, or are we using, like last couple of years, we used park user,
Right.
and it had everybody's profile built the same. Are we not doing that?
So I've seen schools doing a few different things. Some are just setting their energy settings so that the computers aren't sleeping, whether it's Mac or PC, which we do recommend. Some are having students log in, but it depends on whether the students are normally in that lab or not, or on those devices usually or not. So for example, like Macs that rotate, MacBook Pros, you're probably going to want to use a standard login. And if Park User is not currently on there, that is something that we could see about getting on there for you to make testing a little bit easier. Whereas if that's happening in a classroom and those students are always on those computers, it would be fine to just have the students log in as themselves.
So a generic park user but a generic login is available to us if that's the way we decide to go.
We should be able to use Park User as we did last year. That shouldn't be an issue.
So Park User is the username
Park user's password.
and password.
Yeah, the Park User in the past is what we normally do for testing, especially if anybody's having any kind of issues, or like when a student logs in and something's not on there that's supposed to be on there. We've kind of gotten around that by using the generic user and making sure that the computers aren't timing out. So that way if another student comes, it just makes it easier when you're rotating through like 100 and so many kids testing.
Any caps or anything? Sorry.
No cap.
Yes.
I knew our zone lead, because I'm part of zone 3, is aware of this, but
Okay.
does the district know about the 1903 issue?
Yes. So we were just talking about that. So you're from Cibola. Okay. Yes. We are aware that with the Windows update, the 1903, which is the most current version of Windows, that for some tests it's not compatible or we're seeing issues. So by that I mean we've actually seen it where at some schools it is working, and at other schools on the 1903 it's not working. So Devin, you've talked to Devin about it, correct? Okay. So we were just talking about that. That's another thing. So we keep hearing about random issues that are occurring throughout our schools, and this is elementary, middle school, and high school. The issue is we're not seeing any tickets for it, and what we do, because we are on a tiger team, so we meet once or twice a week and more if there's like an urgent issue that needs to be taken care of right away, is please enter tickets for any of those things. So we kind of heard about that issue and a couple others through word of mouth, whereas nothing showed up in our ticket queue because nothing was ever entered for it. So it just will make it a lot easier on us and you guys if we could please have you enter tickets, especially at the time of any issues happening, or if you're looking ahead and hey, you're not getting audio on this or whatever the issue is, enter it at that time so that way we can try to get it resolved before testing happens, because it's a lot harder to do it at that time when we have 5 schools all at the same time, nothing's working because they didn't check ahead of time for any issues or anything like that. Any other questions? Yes. So what we ask is, it depends on the test. So generally what we say is most of the tests have a specific application for it. So like DRC, for example, we're seeing issues now. We asked people back in December, November, I went out to all of the schools in my zone and said, hey, please check DRC. And it was one that you had to install a new version Then when you do that, it usually prompts for an organization code. Then after that, you have an option to do practice tests with audio, etc. So for that, we asked schools, please go ahead and open up this test and make sure that it doesn't give you an error when it opens. Because you will see if it's not on the correct version, it pops up and it gives you an error message saying must update, but it never actually updates. So we did that, like I said, the last couple months, and now we're seeing schools put in tickets, hey, DRC is giving me this error message saying this, what does this mean? So I'm not sure for some of those if they weren't at the meeting or if they just checked like beforehand, even though we pretty much hand talk to every single testing coordinator, anybody in charge of testing that we can find at every school. We're still seeing that happen. So if it's an application, if you're not sure what you're looking for, which like I said, they're going to go over iTester, secure browser, etc. today for the different tests. And if at the end you're still not sure, you can either ask OAR what you're supposed to be looking for, or you can put in a ticket with us and say, I'm not sure what I'm looking for with this test, can you come out and assist me with that? Does that make sense? Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, thank you guys.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. So our contact information is here. You can always find any of us and we'll get you to the right place. Just a quick overview of the spring assessment windows. This is also on our Google site. If you need the calendar access, we're a few weeks into that. NAEP, if you haven't heard about that, then you don't need to worry about that this year. There's only about 3 schools that needed to, and they already know who they are. DLM is the replacement for NMAPA, so that's upcoming March 9th, and we're going to get into detail on each of these today. The New Mexico ASR, so the science, March 2nd through the 27th. The Spanish reading, April 6th through May 8th. And then we all know about the PSAT, SAT dates. I think we've been thinking a lot about those. And then interim assessment dates here. iReady starts April 6th and runs through the end of the year. The NWEA starts April 6th, but it's a little bit of a shorter window, ending May 1st. We're going to jump into a little bit more detail about our science and SBA reading. Formerly it was Measured Progress who supported these. They're now known as Cognia, so that's the vendor. The ASR field test, grade 11. And we have provided for you guys blueprints for the science test, just for additional details on content and test items. So things like that, that was one of your handouts. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in even greater detail. And then the SBA reading. So Cognia, instead of the Zia symbol, it's now this balloon.
So that's how you can tell on your devices if it's in native software. So instead of seeing the Zia symbol, you will now see the balloon. And the software was just made available last week, so technology hasn't, like I said, they are starting to go out and push it out and do what they can at their end. But it was just available last week. Okay, so for grade 11, it's approximately 110 minutes for both of the sessions, so 55 minutes each session. This year, last year was available. I don't think anybody really did the field test for high school. Did you do it? Yeah. It was kind of like just a few schools. This year, everybody in 5, 8, and 11 will be doing the field test. Available in paper and computer, as well as Braille and large print. So here's some key dates. We already did the initial order window, and now there's some charter schools in here. So charter schools can actually order directly through Cognia. They don't have to go through the district. So that means when you place your order, your material will be sent directly to you. You can go in now to the non-kiosk URL to do a practice test. The portal is gonna close on Friday, so students can be loaded. So right now, if you would log in today, if you have already had an account from last year, it's the same username and password. I did make accounts for a couple of new STCs. You should have received that email probably last night or this morning because I created accounts. There's not much you can do in there because right now there's just training students. The week of February 10th, I'll be loading students in the portal. The portal will reopen on February 18th. That's when you'll be able to assign accommodations, create your classes, schedule your test sessions. On February 24th, that's when you'll schedule the test sessions. So iTester is going to be used, the same platform as it did last year. And again, this is the URL. Again, you'll see the balloon symbol. And some that are new, again, this is where all the students, etc., are housed, so you're going to assign the accommodations, etc. This is what's new on iTester. The big thing is the proctor password. If the test has been paused for so many, which is now 60 minutes, you'll have to put in a proctor password. In years past, you had to contact us, and we had to give you the proctor password. Now, if you have STC access, which you all do, you'll see the proctor password, and you don't have to contact us. So your teachers will just ask you for it, and you go and enter it for them. So that's still secure, so you shouldn't be just sending it out to your staff. The other difference is there's 90 students only available to place in a class. And I know some of you maybe do like the whole grade. You just can only put 90 students. So now you'll just have to create, if you test alpha order, etc., A through whoever hits the 90, and then start in a new class. Some of the other universal tools, accessibility features, the Zoom Finder, answer masking, and then, of course, the embedded word prediction. And in your packet, there is a one-pager that lists the accommodations. Because 3 through 8 is doing this, using the same portal for ELA and math, you just have to look for just the ones that say silent. So you can go to Cognia now to the URL and do practice tests. And you'll go to the New Mexico Online Cognia help page. Here's the URL. We're going to ask that you submit a schedule. Next month in the February checklist will be a form for a way for you to upload in our Google site, and we'll need to know your schedule as far as what days you're testing.
That includes charter schools.
Yeah, it'll just be different. We'll have to because actually I can bring that up now. So we're going to go in and give you access to and share our Google site. So then you have access to see everything. That's for all trusts. So next week, I'm hoping Monday it can be done. The person that does it is out this week. So she'll be sharing. I'm going to give her all your email addresses. So this way you can go to our Google site, because there's a lot of information there. And the deadline for that is February 28th. The SBA Spanish reading is available for grades. I didn't change the slide, but for 10 and 11, so 9th grade will not test. There's 3 sessions. Again, it's untimed and it's paper. And how do you qualify to see which students can take the SBA Spanish reading? If they've been here 3 years or less, they can take the test in Spanish. If they're in their 4th or 5th year, that's when you have to submit a waiver. That deadline has passed. PD emailed yesterday and said I should hopefully know who got approved. I'm hoping by the end of tomorrow. They'll send the list of students who got approved for that. So if you submitted any to me, we're still waiting to see which students can test in Spanish. So the ASR is untimed, but it has to be completed within the school day, a session. So you can't start a session and have them, start it and then say, okay, we'll continue tomorrow. You can't do that. You can do one session one day and a session the next day, but what the session they're working on has to be completed within the school day. And that's it. You guys have any questions? And then we'll be having some how-to trainings on this, and that'll be shown a little bit at the end of the presentation.
Hello. You should be at your school testing access.
Thank you for starting early. I mean, most of the bigger EL schools, Leo, I think you got off to a decent start. If you haven't started, and I know you have 5 more weeks, I would kind of recommend to start next week or so, so you don't get yourself in a bind. The window closes on March 6th. I told you in November that LCE is a little bit behind in screening students. So they have been busy out at schools for the last 3 or 4 weeks administering the placement test, which means that you have more students to take the access test than you had when I handed you a list in, when was that? Before the break? December, right? So you need to check your lists. Cross-check the list, the PGM 1406, with what is in your VITA AMS site. And so I know that they have tested 350 students at least in the last 3 weeks. They're gonna give me another load on Friday, I guess that's tomorrow. And then I kind of negotiated today with them that that's it. We don't want to enter any more ELs into the system because it's not fair to you, it's not fair to the kids to take the screening test and then turn around 2 days later or whatever and take the access test, right? But so by Monday should be the last new batch of students coming in, okay? Does that make sense? And again, if I say 350, whatever that is per school, maybe 1, or for some schools it may be 5, but it's not some massive numbers. But watch out, because we are supposed to test, or at least to attempt to test every student, okay? If you are one of those schools that is on top of things and has already done testing, please don't return your materials until at least the 24th of February, because we don't know if you get another kiddo from another school, let's say. Even if you're done testing, that student may not have tested, okay? So let's hold on at least till the 24th, and then no later than the 6th, that's the last day we can, have you return the materials. And please return all your tickets. When Claudine made the boxes, she also put that one sheet in there where you should please note the kids that you don't test. Do you remember that? So there's and in high school, I understand, one of you guys said yesterday, how am I going to get a 12th grader to test? I know it's hard, okay? But it does count for your participation. It does count for your, even if it's just a little bit in your school grade and whatnot, that access score, the growth in the score is factored in to some extent, okay? So test as many as you can. Any questions about access besides that? Anything that's totally wrong or nothing? Good, easy. Couple slides on DLM, dynamic learning maps. Do all of you have students who take the alternate assessment? I think most of you do, right? Okay. So this assessment is new to all of us, and it replaces the NMAPA. So no more NMAPA. The big difference here is that the NMAPA was a paper pencil test. This is an online test. So we have 600 students in the district, roughly, who take this test. So it's a fairly small number. Some of them can operate the mouse. Some of them cannot. So if they cannot operate the mouse, let's say, then the teacher can enter information. Okay? Let me go ahead a little bit and look at the at the timelines here. I'm going to skip 2 slides later. I'll go back. So what we did before the winter break, we sent you an email and we asked to please provide the teacher names, remember that, and license numbers, so we can enter, so we can start creating a database of teachers. So we did that. We send out an email to the teacher with logon information and to create an account. And this is where things went a little wrong, perhaps. We didn't know that there was a 20-day window, which they had to create an account. So some of them are now trying to log on and they can't. So we will fix that hopefully by tomorrow. We will reset it so everybody can log on. Okay? And then we will load the students. If you haven't done that part, if you haven't clicked onto our Google site and uploaded your teachers who will administer the test, please do so. Okay? But most of you, I think, did. And then starting February 17th is when the teachers could go in, that's the earliest, and give some information about the students. And what that does, they give it's like a little survey that will create a starting point, like a tier or level, whatever term we want to use, for the student. So the teachers have to do that. It doesn't have to be on the 17th, but that's when it opens. Okay? Now I'm going to go back that slide. In order to do that, they have to complete the training. Okay? And it's just like the MAPA training, it's about a 3-hour deal. Okay? And there's 4 modules that they have to complete. And that's the site. It's on a Moodle site. And again, to us, this is as new as it is to your teachers or you guys, so we're learning together on this one. Have you had any big issues with your teachers? Have they complained that they couldn't log on or create an account?
Yes. So you say tomorrow they will be able to do that?
We are trying.
So I'll tell them Monday?
Tell them Monday, yes. Because we have to reset it, and we did not know that. I mean, we didn't know it was a 20-day window. You know, sometimes that happens, it expires. I don't think that was specified, or maybe we didn't see it, I'm not sure. Test window is in March 9th through April 10th. 5 weeks, which is 2 weeks more than the MAPA. However, there's a spring break in there, so it's actually 4 weeks. And then we get the scores, kind of like the Access scores, mid-May, you know, usually the stuff trickles in. Couple resource websites. If you guys want to start looking around, or if you want to start looking just on the DLM website, please go ahead and do so. And again, I appreciate your patience with this because we are learning as we go. We had our PED training just a couple weeks ago, and that was just a little blur in the training, you know, so it's learning by doing for us as well. So the 17th is by no means a firm deadline for them to complete that training. It's the earliest they could go in and fill out the student profile. Okay? Couple slides on SAT, and I think Shelley is going to talk about that one. Or Rhonda and Shelley?
It's more than a couple.
There was an email going around that upload students, I don't know.
Yeah, we will upload the students, but
You will upload the students?
yes.
The email says that we upload students.
We put it in we put a link out for you to put the students, and then we will upload it into the.
And that email is because we don't, it's just like parent email. It's not correct to me. So,
We got a DLM.
yes, for this
Yeah.
test.
You got an email from PED?
No, from, you sent an email to special education.
We send it to your teachers, and like I said, we're gonna be working on it. We had all the teachers on the email list. We did not have some of you on the email list, and we'll put you on.
So we still have to upload students somewhere?
We will upload the students into the type portal for you.
We just upload.
You put them into that little, on our assessment side, and that link.
Where's the link?
It's in the Google assessment site.
I think it was linked on the checklist as well.
For January?
Either, I think it might
I
have
don't
been
know,
November
January.
or December.
It was a direct link on one of your
Yeah, it
checklists.
is a
Yeah.
link on the site. We can look at it afterwards.
Okay, so we have the new test this year for 10th and 11th graders. The 11th graders will be taking the SAT school day and the 10th graders PSAT 10. So we're just providing a general overview today. There's the manuals for New Mexico for the spring digital assessment have not been published yet. So we've got a lot of information in here, but as soon as those are out, you will need to read those and go through those. There is a spring 2021 out online, but it's not specific for New Mexico or digital for SAT. So these are key dates. So on the left is the PSAT 10, and then we have SAT, and a lot of those are the same. They're with some minor differences. And then we put who's responsible for doing them, and then what they're doing. Rhonda, did you want to highlight any of those dates?
No, College Board did say that the dates for the TA training will be out next week, so we know the exact dates.
So what are pre-administration sessions? Those are the sessions prior to the test day that you have to do with every student. But we'll get to a slide on that.
Oh.
We'll get to a slide on that. But yeah, so you do have to, well, you don't have to, but we are strongly recommending you do that before testing, because otherwise you'll be testing for almost 6 hours without a lunch. So it's best practice, and the district is strongly recommending you do the pre-administration prior to testing. So we have the PSAT timing with breaks, and then on the next slide we have a sample schedule. So the only one that's really negotiable here is the activities in the middle. The rest of them are all set from College Board. So and this is the standard administration. If you go to this link, okay, so if you log into this tiny URL, you'll be able to use all the links here. So I make sure to go in there because we just linked these instead of putting the URLs because they were like really long. If you go in, you can get all of the accommodated and extended time and all of the other schedules that they have. But so for PSAT, there's section 1 is reading. It's 47 questions. It's 60 minutes, and then they get a 5-minute break. Then they go to session 2, which is writing and language, 35 minutes, directly into session 3, which is the math no calculator, for 25 minutes. Then they get another 5-minute break, and then they do the no calculator math section.
Okay, that's when you issue the calculators.
Right. And the total time for PSAT is 3 hours and 25 minutes.
Assuming you only take those 2 5-minute breaks.
There might be, that's what they recommend, the 5-minute breaks. If, getting to and from breaks may take a few minutes, so you might want to build in some buffering time too. Yes?
The calculators are not built in on the digital?
The calculators are built in. There's a drop-down calculator, but students can still bring the one that they're most used to using in their classroom.
Yeah, and there's a calculator allowed list as well. It's very extensive.
Why are kids taking the PSAT twice this year? We
Because
administered it.
PED said they
Accountability, state accountability.
Yeah, state accountability.
95%.
I don't know.
I have a question. My counselor got all of the SAT stuff.
What
there-
stuff?
Boxes with materials in them.
Like the coordinator kit and stuff like that?
I think so. And is there a reason that the counselors are getting that stuff, or is that?
Did they go and order it on the College Board website? That's the only way I would think they would get it.
Okay.
Has anyone else had that issue?
My counselor's got the paper score for the October date.
Right, for the October
Oh,
test.
okay. Well, maybe that's what it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is just a sample schedule, okay? And again, it doesn't have the buffering times in there for PSAT, and it does not include the pre-administration. So coming in at 7:25, we have staff reporting, distributing materials to staff, having students come in, get administrative activities, taking away their electronic devices, and distributing materials, the test kit and stuff like that. And then we would like no one to actually start testing after 8:30. Okay, so 8:30, hopefully everyone can start testing, I think, prior to 8:30 or 8:30 at the latest. Okay, and then you would go through the sessions. After the first session, there is a 5-minute break, and then after the third session, there's another 5-minute break. Okay, so without adding any buffering around the breaks, like a couple minutes to get to the break and back, you would get out at 11:25 for PSAT. Has anyone at their school made their own schedule? And was yours similar to this, or?
No, because we don't start until 8 to 10.
Okay, but the time, so yours would go until like noon, depending on when you actually started. Okay, so for SAT, again, this manual, we cannot find the digital Spring 2021, so this is from the manual that's right here and up there. But, so this one, again, the timings are all set except for the administrative activities prior. You could cut that time or make it longer. I wouldn't suggest that though. So the reading here is 65 minutes with a 10-minute break after. Session 2 is 35 minutes with writing and language. Right into section 3 with 25 minutes and then a 5-minute break. And during those 2 breaks, they are allowed to leave the room and go to the bathroom or get snacks in a designated area if they're supervised. And then they go back for the math test with the calculator for 55 minutes. And then the whole state is doing the essay. They get a 2-minute break in between there where they cannot leave the room. And then 50 minutes for the essay. So it's a total of 4 hours and 37 minutes, not including the pre-administration. And again, that's the standard, which we assume most students will be on that, but there are going to be students that have extended breaks, extended time, all the different, there's like 8 different possibilities on 2 pages in there. Any other questions on here?
Do you have a sample schedule on the next page?
Yeah, and then we have the sample schedule. So the sample schedule for SAT, again, without the buffers for breaks, is starting at 7:25, getting at school, and then going to starting the test actually at 8:30. Okay, that's the goal, start by 8:30. And then going through all of the sessions and the breaks and ending at 12:37. More realistically, the end's going to probably be closer to 1 o'clock, like 12:55, around there, depending on how long it takes to and from to get to breaks. The teachers will have to keep track of it on their documentation in the rooms for their testing administrator.
The manual is very clear that you must start the testing, the actual administration by 9 o'clock. If kids aren't taking that by 9 o'clock, we'll have to report that.
Yes.
We start school at 9 o'clock.
Then we need to know that, and we will have to make some.
Yeah, we'll have to find out.
We'll have to make some. Yes.
We actually don't start till 9:25.
So you remember, you have to complete all of this. Kids cannot go to lunch till it's completed. So that's
Yes.
one of them.
Yeah. Yes.
What is pre-administration? Is there?
Yeah, we're
We're gonna go.
Yeah. And it's like a big old page. Okay. It's this. If you did PSAT in the fall, it's basically the same, but it's digital. Okay. So pre-administration. It's basically an hour prior to testing where you have to log into the College Board site, and it lets the kids get familiar with the site and the teachers.
And they have to have a College Board account.
Yes, and they have to set up their College Board account. Yes.
So do this on a separate day.
Right. That's what we're recommending, a separate day. And some schools are doing the 10th and 11th graders together to do the pre-administration. But
How far in advance can this be done?
on the schedule, what did it say?
March to early April.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, March to early April.
Oh, okay.
They can set up their account now.
Yeah, but they can go set up the account now if you wanted them to, or you could have them wait. And some of them might already have accounts. Donna, did you want to say something?
Maybe you'll answer it.
Okay. There's a lot of people in here who have gone through this, for pre-administration, does anyone have anything to add to help her out since she's never done it? No? Yeah.
I mean, I'm just really nervous about this because I don't have students on campus all the time, and so, like, getting them to come to a pre-registration date, and then, like, can I get a listing of what their college board account is or something? Or, you know, because my fear is that they're gonna come in and they're gonna be like, I don't know my password, I don't know my college board account, and, like, so, can anyone help me
That's
as far
why
as
you
like
have
what?
to do that ahead of time. I don't believe can we get those?
So I understand we cannot, but the students will have to call
You
the
know,
college
we
board
can get them
themselves.
for AP classes. I can
That's
go
what I
in
do.
and I can see the
But like,
college board
once they
accounts for
have
my
their thing, they'll
students
get
for
an
AP.
email. You know, can I have them write it down and I keep that?
Yes.
I can
If
do
they
that.
will, if they will give it to you, yes, I would think so. She was saying that for AP, you can go in and see it.
For AP, I can see that my students have a college board account. I can see the email address they've used
But
for
we
it.
can't for SAT,
We can't.
only AP, because that's a new portal.
So they aren't gonna help us out on that and make that available for
I mean, they
this?
probably will, but not this year.
Is it the same account they did when if they took the PSAT?
Yes,
it's
it's
the
exactly the
same
same.
college
It's the same account, and then when they take, if they're doing 10th grade this year, it'll be the same account next year. And if they take it again their senior year, their same account, it's the same account, they can get scholarships on with and everything else. It's
So
the
most
same.
10th graders should be somewhat okay, I guess, unless they're new and did create one or didn't take it, I'm guessing.
We did it via paper, so if they didn't
Yeah.
have the intrinsic motivation to go in and
Yes.
create one
Right.
themselves,
Yeah.
they don't have one.
Correct.
Yeah, we
Yes.
set up.
And is it a set thing, like it's an email address is their username, or do they get to choose it, and then, you know, is it one of those things?
They get to choose it.
Fantastic. Tell them they can. Yeah, can I have them and tell them they can? I was just gonna say, I mean, is it already, are we allowed to
Yes,
be like,
you
oh?
can absolutely set some guidelines for them to help them.
Donna had a question.
So, there was a digital readiness webinar last week that said for the students to fill out the questionnaire, we have to have parental consent.
Yes.
Can we bypass the questionnaire?
That's a good question. Claudine, do you know?
That's like most of the pre-admin stuff, right?
Right.
That's the part when you read the
We will-
directions.
We will write that down.
For them to fill out the questionnaire.
That's the part when you read the directions for the PSAT, you tell the students after you've read all the directions that it's optional.
That's a good question. We will find out. I really.
I mean, if they don't go through the entire survey, they're not getting the full benefits of the tests and their reporting. So it's to their advantage to do that. They will not get as much information.
Do they have access to the scholarships if they don't do that?
There are certain things they will not have access to. I'm not sure what they are.
Because there's,
The
yeah.
specific things are.
Do they need a college board account to log in to take the test?
Yes. Yes. Is what we were told.
Yes.
Yeah, they can't log in.
Yes.
That's how they log in.
I just went through about a week of getting English teachers
Secure browser.
to come in and create college board accounts and type on account. What happened was, college board kids, even if some, a few had it. Most did not, and it was a nightmare.
It is, that's why.
And
That's why you want to do it sooner than later.
but they're high school kids, but pre-registration. Well, I understand that, but even then, even bringing them in, they did not have that information. So,
So yeah, you gotta encourage them to put it in their phones, write it down in their note page in their phone, all those things.
I mean, it's good practice for when they go to college or get a job and they're gonna have to remember all this stuff, but yeah, we know. And there have been states that have done this and had all these issues, so they're all known issues. But what we need to do is find ways to work with them at each school, and maybe some of you guys can give some suggestions. Yes, Rebecca?
I wouldn't swear to it, and not to be a pest. We did the pilot SAT testing last year online, and PSAT testing the year before. I'm pretty certain the kids, to log in, to actually take the test, just had to have a ticket, and the ticket didn't have college board, like account login information, it was just similar to a park ticket. Can you follow up with the college board?
We don't have tickets though with this. That's why they have to have their login, that's why you do the pre-registration.
So this year will not be tickets.
So I guess it's different than that.
But do we need to double check on the
Well,
consent?
We'll double check on the consent, we need to put all this on the parking lot so we don't
I'll
forget.
double check on the tickets.
On the tickets too. I don't know, we've read those manuals 5 and 6 times and it's so hard to remember everything, going back and forth. Okay, so this is just, if we came out to your school in December, you already saw this, but this is just some reminders about planning for your staff. Again, this is straight out of the manuals. So every room should have one proctor. In addition to the proctor, you would have to have hall monitors, one for every 5 rooms if they're in the same area. If they're in different areas, if there's like one's upstairs and one's downstairs, you'll need one on each area. And then if there's more than 25 in a room, you do have to have another person in the room, which they call a room monitor.
And just a side note, make sure you're using these numbers. These are the New Mexico numbers because there are some manuals that say 1 to 34.
For SAT.
But we are sticking with 1 to 25
For
ratios.
New Mexico. Rhonda, do you want to go or do you want me to do it? Okay. So test coordinators. You should go to this site and bookmark it if you haven't already. Whenever you have some time or spend some time looking at it, schedule the time to go through and get familiar with it, with all the information. The technology people will assist with installing the secure browser on the test-taking devices. If you have accommodations, you also have to do all of those installations, so make sure and put in tickets for those. There, again, it's very extensive in the manuals on all the specifics. Like 80 pages.
So I have a question. So that means when we put in our ticket for that test, we say help installing the secure browser, that we don't actually have to go and do that by ourselves on everything.
No, the technology department should be doing all the installations.
But we still need to put in our ticket, obviously.
Right. They did say that they would work with schools who have technology coordinators to give them access, but that's all I heard. They were going to be going to the schools.
No, they want our testing schedule or testing schedule and room areas.
For them, they just want the dates you're gonna test and the labs you're gonna be using, I believe, is what they want. Is that correct, Claudia? Okay. 4 to 6 weeks prior to testing day, you should be planning your room or test staffing, and I know a lot of you have already done this. You should receive access to College Board Accounts online training activities, and Rhonda said they're going to announce those days soon. Receive access to the AIR test delivery system, which is the secure browser, and Tide. So you're going to receive a shipment of coordinators manuals, guides, and forms related to test administration. You're going to have to share information with your students and prepare and conduct a pre-administration session like we already. And then do the accommodations. I thought they did that in the SSB portal. Yeah, that's done, and that's due by February 24th. So that's the next big deadline. Yeah.
Is there any large schools who have figured out their schedule? They're gonna have proctors.
It's gonna be tight, but we figured out we're gonna have to rely on teachers who teach pure grade levels.
Okay.
And things like that, but it's.
I have a rough draft of the schedule, and we're gonna try to see if we can get some subs in so that we can free up our teachers that normally work with 11th grade kids to stay with them.
The 1 to 25 kind of screws us a little bit.
Yeah.
Did we get an answer if they have to stay the whole time?
No, they don't.
They
And we did post that answer on the
I'm sorry, I didn't
document.
know that.
No, but we posted it on the document. The College Board said that they highly recommend it's one proctor, but that they can switch proctors, but you need to be very careful and not disturb the testing environment, or it will be an irregularity.
It would be easier just to have one person.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But I know there were some schools when we met in December with the high schools that came that were gonna rotate proctors, and we did get it. That was, it's not best practice, it's not recommended, but they will allow it. But they strongly just said to watch out for irregularities and make sure they all sign the documentation in the room. Yes.
What document? You mentioned the document. You posted the answer on the document.
And for the schools, the APS high schools, which next one should have got it, we invited you all to a meeting December 17th. And on an email, we had a Google Doc where we had you guys put a bunch of questions on. And it's still live. We haven't taken it out. I don't know if it's linked on our assessment website or not.
I don't know, we can reshare it out to you
We
guys.
can reshare it.
Because I couldn't go to that.
Okay.
When new responses are there, it just doesn't notify.
No,
And so
it's-
it's kind of, I mean,
Yeah.
I read what it was there,
It's
but
hard
I
for
didn't
the old
think that somebody else.
Do you have a suggestion? Well, I guess if you have questions, email assessment at APSU, at APS.edu, and we can get you questions or look them up for you. I was gonna say, so you can go in and preview the student digital test experience. Okay, you can also do that now on their website, and we do have links to that on our assessment Google site. I know we do.
And the students do it?
Yes, the students can go and do a practice and see what the online administration is like. So SSD coordinators, hopefully all of your schools have those. They're going to be, or hopefully have already started entering accommodations. Okay, and there's been some webinars from PEB on that with more specifics. If you didn't see the webinars, they are on the PEB website, the recordings of them.
I guess my biggest thing is that because with this, the parents are supposed to request that they have.
They can do.
Right, so I don't have to have that form first before I do.
If they have an
Because I thought that I
IEP,
had to.
we just heard from the state last week, if they have an IEP or 504 with a parent signature, that is giving consent. They do not have to have the additional form. Okay, we just heard that last week, right? Late last week. And that was new to all of us. Yes.
We just spent a whole week making sure
I
that
know.
all the teachers, we created letters. I mean,
I know. Yeah, but I guess it's better to have more than not enough. Jessica, was that?
Yeah, well, my question pertains more to just the 504s, and whether or not we were using the same form as the IEP form, but I guess it doesn't matter if we have assigned 504 now. But the other question that we had actually was really specific to the students with diabetes that had the monitors, and I know that when we sat in on the big training from College Board, they said, of course that's gonna be allowed and all that stuff, and of course it's gonna be allowed, but do we need to have that specifically for 504 students? Do we need to have that as a specific parental request, or is it just assumed?
So the College Board may have a specific process for that, but there is a New Mexico non-standard accommodation form specifically for those unique accommodations. So we can double check on what the College Board's documentation needs to be.
Okay.
And we can
Because
put that
the
on.
504 plan also needs to be uploaded to College Board's site, just like the IP does. But the one that was provided to us isn't super specific. Provided to us as a school from the district isn't super specific, and it's like 8 pages long. So
And I know our boss.
The 504?
The 504 that is, yeah, it's very.
And Chris West, who was up here at first, I know he's been working with the 504 coordinators at the district level, so there might be information at your schools with the 504 coordinators about it as
We
well.
confirmed with PD, the question that they had was, do you need to fill out the form and also have an IEP or 504 on file? And the answer is yes.
The testing manual says other medical devices, such as testing for blood sugar, require accommodation.
So the non-standard accommodation form that PD provides, we have to have that put out.
My nurse sent me something forwarded. I guess there's language going around the district that the nurses are working on to put in the 504. And she forwarded me what they.
Which is consistent with the states,
Yeah.
with the one that we're providing you as well, because we've been working together. But yeah, I think the nurses did get.
She said she forwarded something.
Okay.
Yeah, she forwarded something to me that they're going to put in 504s moving forward.
We need some clarity on this diabetic stuff, because it seems like there's like nurse information and there's SSD coordinator information. It's like, it
One
needs
is
to
New
be.
Mexico, one's College Board, so we have that on our parking lot for sure.
Okay, thank you.
From my experience, I think that they are forcing the final course, at least in my school, for the diabetes. And when we go to the site to request for that accommodation, they believe you. You don't have to upload anything. You say they are 504, yay. You say, yeah,
Right,
they believe you, without uploading anything.
And there's a screen that accommodates diabetic students?
Yes.
Built into
The big issue that I had was that what kind of device do they
Yes.
use? So that's where you need the student to tell you what kind of device.
Yes,
Because
but
you
also
need the
some of
model.
the students run into the situation of having to have frequent breaks, which bumps them into the need for extended time and therefore 2 days, and then you do have to have the documentation, so.
And then a lot of
But a
times-
504 is just enough. Or I did one without 504, but with just the nurse statement. And it says there, I have a nurse statement. Yes, I have a nurse statement. And they believe me and without any proof. Yeah.
Does anyone else have anything to add before we move on?
I'm sorry, one last thing. This new, because my special ed had told me that they had to have two, that their legal people told them that they were supposed to have two documentation of parent signatures now. Has this been shared with them that the IEP is going to count? Is the special ed department doing that?
As far as we were told from the ED, the IEP will count as long as it's signed by a
So
parent. Do
you're
we
just-
know if it has to be signed by two?
Because the special ed, so when I met with my special ed people, they said, well, we heard at our department meeting that you need two documentation. The parent consent form, and now APS was wanting some kind of other form. And,
Right. When was that?
That got sent out to my team like this week.
Okay.
so I just wasn't sure if they had been
Right.
notified about the IEP.
Since this is new information, we're gonna touch base with them.
Okay.
And we also have, speaking of accommodations and SSD, we have a support session scheduled. We'll share that date with you.
Okay.
So that you guys can drop in for these unique situations and specific questions.
Okay.
Because we can't cover it all today.
Yeah, but remind us, if you don't hear anything, send an email, or put it on the parking lot on your way out, fill out one of these little stickies.
Thank you.
Okay, so accommodations and support, so these are some of them, as you see them, and they're very similar to what we've seen with all the other testing.
Shelley, would you mind going back to
Yes,
the
go ahead.
accommodations? There are some copies that we provided for you from the PED that has a matrix in terms of college reportability. So things that are college reportable and not, and then kind of just a distinction between New Mexico accommodations and college board accommodations. So one's a stapled packet and then one is a single sheet. So that's for your reference as well.
The single sheet is the one that all know that they are not college reportable.
Most of the accommodations are college reportable. There's just that one single sheet where there's 4, I believe, that are not.
On this single sheet, this tells us the 4 that are not college reportable.
Or maybe 5. Correct.
Where is it?
It's one that's landscape. Okay. Okay, so, there is, again, if you load this site, you can click on these links, but this is all the information that's also on our Google site for this. So there is practice for the SAT through Khan Academy. If you want to go ahead and set that up, if they took the PSAT in the spring, in the fall, then they can also go in and get, personalized practice as well. Who was gonna do end of course?
I have a question about SAT before we move on.
Yeah.
Are the students gonna be loaded in by the state or you guys, or do we? My issue is that we have a ton of reclassifieds, like a ton at Highland, and so I don't know if I'm testing 10s who should be in 11s, or just straight 11s, or it's just a mess.
You're just testing, the state has said, you're just testing 11th graders only. If there's a 10th grader that might be graduating next year, you can make requests. And we said, just email us at the meeting in December, we said, just email us the request. And because we have to put in a request to the state to allow them to take it. So if you have anybody that's not officially 11th grade in the SIS, we have to get approval.
So it has to say Synergy 11. That's who tests the SAT.
It doesn't matter how many years they've been in high school.
10. And that's who takes the SAT.
Remember with
It's not by grad standard here.
Yeah.
Why are we not doing cohorts though?
That's
Wait,
what
hold on,
this
hold on.
means.
So you have all wonderful questions, but just so we will. So my job is to take it all back to PE, and there are lots of questions, and you're not the only ones in the state that say these things. Just patient rate, also something that we've all said to the state. So everything you're saying is correct and valid, but because they put it in the ESSA plan, it's what they said in the, that's how we get the federal dollars. So what they said in there, they have to follow it. So when they decided that, just like we don't do 8th graders don't get to do algebra anymore, or they just do the 8th grade test. So they're doing the same thing, and next year it's going to be 9th grade too. So they're just doing, if you're in the SIS as the grade level, that's the test you take. It doesn't matter whether you had the content, that doesn't matter to them. It just matters what grade you're in.
They're using the 40-day count.
In ESSA, in
Yeah.
ESSA, wouldn't it be cohort?
No, it just says,
It's grade level.
this is grade level.
So, but she made a good point. So when are they looking at that? Because some of our kids change over semester.
So it's funny you can answer that.
I think they're gonna load probably from the 80th day. That's usually how they load the students. I will be uploading any additional that came in. That's the only piece that I can do is after the 80th day. I'll be able to do a bulk of upload into the portal.
Of the new students.
And I will know, but like she said, if you have those students that are potentially could graduate, then you need to send us an email, and I'll have to get approval for them to test for the SAT.
Or
I'll be able to see that list that you uploaded, and then I'll know who I'm testing.
Well, the PED is going to load the initial students, so you'll be able to go into the portal, and then the bulk load is any additional.
Okay.
That's what I can do, but that's the only piece that I can do.
But she's just uploading the new students. She won't be uploading ones that switched over grade levels or anything.
Yeah, so PED will have to work.
Okay, Jessica, you've had your hand up.
Okay, so I have two questions that are related to that. So if there are students who switched over grade levels, we email you because you're not gonna automatically see them. We have to tell you. Okay, so that was question number one. And then the second question has now figured it out.
When is the 80th day?
So the 80th day is December 2nd.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's
Right? So wait, and then 120 days usually Valentine's
But
Day.
they always use the 8th day.
Yeah,
There's
that's
nothing
the
new
same
to
thing they do
this
with March
year.
too.
To use the date that's, access days, the 40th day. It's just,
And if it helps you guys, like I did talk to Dr. Bowman about this, if it's helpful for you guys to say, do you need like anybody who's on grade this day, I can make that. And I think I said 120, I believe. But I can check. So basically that would be like anybody who is on that grade on February 14th, that's it. If they're not, too bad. Like I'm okay if that's helpful to you guys.
make that report.
You can make that rule if we ask you.
We should be able to. Let's look into it. But I'm just saying like in terms of do you
Because I need to know who to pre-administer to, all that. Like, I just need to know who I'm testing. I don't care, like, if they should get tested or not. I just need to know who they are.
Yes, I can see that. They need to know who they are.
So let's
Real quick, I have a quick question. So if a reclassified student, a reclassified 10th grade student then would take 10th grade test? So that's how that's what they're going to be put into.
Based on credits, based on how much credits they have. Okay.
Two things. Has the state thought about what's gonna happen with those juniors that do not pass whatever cutoff they've decided? And that's the one question.
What, if we don't know what cutoff there is, and we don't know that yet.
We don't know.
You're asking about the class scores?
Yeah, what's gonna happen if
No,
we don't?
our state is probably gonna turn that after we get the test.
We only have the graduation stuff for this year.
But our local agency will still count for next year.
The menu option.
Why have we considered going in the future by cohort, regardless of, this student is a 9th grader, whether it be one, or 10th grader, whether he got no credits or more credits, and just stay with cohort?
So we have to be consistent. So they decided they wanted, it's not like, I mean, you're right, not right. That's what they did.
Is that an APS thing?
No, it's the state. It's a
same. Right? Because how can you measure all your schools the same if you don't set standards? That's the standard they set. Doesn't mean that it's right, but that's the standard they set. And then we're also, and I know this is a hard thing, right? Because they took a test that was designed for kids that wanted to see how to get into college. It's a high stakes test for kids. We know that. I'm sure you guys, no matter what age you were, if you took ACT, you took SAT, it's a high stakes test. They took a high stakes test and they slammed it into essay. But in doing so, they're also like, but look, you can also get this added bonus. So if you were a kid that did things before, it's free for you now. But we know that we completely understand what you guys, because Rhonda's been like, looking through that manual, so is Shelley, and Lori Boylan. Like, we know that it doesn't really fit into the way we do things. I understand that. But the only thing we can do, and I know it's not a nice thing to say, is just figure out how to make it work the best we can. And I'm really thankful. I know it's frustrating, but it's just what we have to do because that's how we get our federal funds. Doesn't mean that we all don't vote and can't do things else with our lives. That's just what we're stuck with right now.
So the 95%, like, I guess that's what I really want to know is I want a list of this is who the state of New Mexico says that you are that you should have tested because if they are listed as on December 2nd, they were listed as an 11th grader, and they're graduating May 20th or May 2020. I still have to test them.
Yeah, so I will make that request, but I can.
Wait, that's what you're saying, right?
That's what PEB is saying, yes. If they were an 11th grader and they're in the SIS or in Synergy, you would test them no matter if they're graduating this year or next year. Yes.
Right. It's just based on, try to keep this, even though it doesn't make sense maybe in the lives of the kids and how we do things, just like treat it like so like black and white.
I know, I just need to know, I need a list of kids of who I am supposed to test because if we're being held to a 95%.
We'll have to check.
We'll check because we'll check because I can tell you the state is not very consistent or solid with calculations as well. But it doesn't mean that we can't all be consistent about who we're putting in the test at APS.
Yeah, because I can't take a kid off that list, right?
To sum up the cohort and the grade level and to maybe get around the black and white issue, can I request for all of my off-grade level second year students take the PSAT? Can I send you a list of all those kids? And then can I request for all my third year off-grade level students to take the SAT? So I can just have all my second year students taking PSAT and all my third year students taking SAT? Just send you a list of all that and be good?
So tell me more about why would you want to do that?
Because they will catch up in the summer when they're not listed in the spring. And so we want them to be able to be in the best environment. Usually it's gonna impact juniors. There's gonna be a junior who's listed as a sophomore who will be a senior by the time his junior summer ends.
Yeah.
And he will have missed the SAT. That's probably the biggest thing more than PSAT.
But also for logistical purposes, so if I'm gonna test all my sophomores on PSAT and I'm gonna pull all my sophomore teachers to go be test admins, I can't put all of my second year freshmen in a holding tank. I don't have a holding tank big enough for all those kiddos. I need them to go sit and take the PSAT. So just for logistics purposes, one, for catching them up to.
So you're saying second year freshmen, as in they didn't have enough credits to be a sophomore?
Correct.
They are listed as freshmen.
They can't take it. No, because it'll mess the score up.
They can take the PSAT.
The state said it would be a very few amount of students.
It should be very few.
I know, I laughed too.
Well, I mean, if they're gonna pull before the semester, like, hello, people.
What if we're?
I'm sorry.
Well, you know what?
It's a lot of, of course, it's a lot of kids that repeat the answer. That's why we have an extra bubble. We know that. But the state wants us to test only 10th graders. So if you put the kids in there that should be 10th graders, it's got to stick to that black and white rule. What is in your SIS? Do they have enough credits to be classified as 10th grader? It doesn't matter if they've sat there for 4 years. Do they have enough credits to classify as 10th grader?
Yeah, but what day? Black and white is what you said, right? What day?
February 12th.
You're sure?
Well, that's something we said we would check with you. So just wait.
This is something we're gonna have to circle around again, I think.
What about science? What's the technicality in science? It's also 11th graders? In the same thing, 11th graders, whoever's in 11th grade.
Yep. So there probably will be some kids that, and I don't know, and maybe that's what you were thinking about. I feel like this is who maybe, are they technically would they advance 2 grades within the year?
Well, they're really only a half a grade behind usually.
Yeah.
So they will catch up by the time they begin their senior year.
So they're going to be exceptions.
There'll be more for 11th grade, and I think.
And I think the 11th grader is probably a bigger problem than the 10th grader
I
because
think
that's
that's
the ones that
we
are
need to
trying to
concentrate
graduate
because they
on
can
time.
graduate.
So let's, yeah, okay, so let's see. I think we can get this.
So I know that the horse is dead, but black and white coding to make your life easier and to make our life easier, then in that case, do you even want us to bother looking at the other reports and figuring out who we need to add, or just go with what the state says and say, there you go?
Can you elaborate a little bit? What do you mean by what the state said? Like, what's
Yeah,
the platform?
so Claudia had mentioned that students who are new, so not students whose grade level changed because they caught a competitor or whatever, but students who are new, but weren't on the report, she will receive that list and she will upload them, right? But there
That's the bulk upload, and those are students that, transferred out of, just transferred in that have to take.
Right, but
They're
if
not
there's-
gonna be in your portal.
If little Johnny caught from whenever they pulled the magic number to now, right? And I know little Johnny is now an 11th grader. Should I even bother giving you the name, or should I just say, oh well, just go with what the state is wrong with? But apparently we don't care. Black and white.
I didn't know, I said the list of the students that could potentially graduate. That's the list, not new students. I didn't request the new students.
My early graduates, I would request them that they take the SAT instead of the PSAT.
But this isn't early
But
graduate.
that's the only ones I personally would do.
So just go with it. Just go with what they give us, and unless they're early grads and we need to really be concerned, just say, bummer.
We're gonna, so this is.
I don't know, that's me.
So we're all set, so we're writing these down.
But we'll
We're gonna look
hopefully
into
get
it.
more.
Before you do anything, let us find out first, and then we'll reach out to you and ask you and let you know what you need to give to us. Let's just.
And you guys are just the whipping boys, so I apologize. We're just, yeah, it's just figure it out.
When is the final list gonna be shared from PD for students that'll be taking the tests?
I need to see what they exactly they're gonna upload, so I don't know that.
So if there's a student receiving as a test coordinator, I cannot add them, I have to give them to you.
I think we're gonna do a bulk upload. I think that's part of the.
You're sure on the 120?
Yeah. I'm sure on what we want to do.
We will do the 120 a day.
Okay, let's continue along.
Okay. Yeah.
So the reason why, just to, they did the 40th day because they don't have staff up there that can do their stuff. Right, so they're behind, that's why their website's down right now, that's why we just got 80th day validated. So obviously they don't want to do 40th day, but that's why they did it. But we don't have to do what they tell us to, we have all the data ourselves already. And we do have the bulk upload, option, so we can work, get the kids in there.
I agree, and that's what I think, like, if you're taking information back to the state, it would make the most amount of sense for coordinators who are at the school to make the load. And I get if they want to sit there and say, everyone has to do it based on your SIS roster, that's fine, but I still think that putting that power back in the hands of the coordinators would make the world of a difference as far as it being true to who we actually have.
How did you guys do geometry last year?
I was not the coordinator last year.
I'm just curious, no, for real, how did you guys, you probably had to look at something as.
Well, we were allowed to test algebra and geometry on the same day.
But also, how do you know which kids took those?
Because we just pulled their rosters.
It's simple.
We did PSAT
And Claudine had a lot of movement in the back end that made things a lot easier.
And we were able to upload our own file, which we're not able to with the SAT.
So does PED pull it or do you give it to them?
Remember, everything that PED gets comes from us.
So you get to manipulate.
No.
It doesn't, it comes from the state file, from STARS.
It's from our official snapshot data, which has nothing to do with testing, right? It's just, all the kids that were there on that 120, or that would have been October, who was there, who's on your roster on that day, that was in that grade.
So it'll be the 120 though, the February date.
So we are gonna see if we can push our data in, so that you guys have more, we're gonna see if we can get them to take the 120 day.
Instead of the
Yeah,
Right.
because obviously we know that the closer to the real date, the better for everybody.
Especially over the semester
At least
where
the
they would have gotten
semester.
their credit.
And one thing that I've realized, that I had to realize is, that I used to get really messed up. Remember, we're the weird ones in the state, which is really weird. Because everybody else is one school, and those 3 high schools. That's it. So for them, they don't have all these problems, because you know what? You are the DTC, because you only have 1 high school, and you probably know all the kids, because they live on your street. But like, or they take a really long bus to school. But like, so the state, unfortunately or fortunately, and I had to like have this realization, they don't build their systems for APS. Because we think they should, because if it works for the big one, why wouldn't it work for the little one? But I realized when I go up there and I try to voice our opinions, even though we have, I think we're down to 79,000 kids. My voice is I only get 1 like representation. It's not the House of Representatives. And I'm not telling you that to frustrate you, but it helped me start seeing more like why these systems don't work for us. Because they're basically, they are APS for like 89 or 88 other districts, or 79, whatever you want to call it. Which doesn't make it feel better, but it's like, that's how they build the system. It's like, can that one person in the school get this to work? And when you can't, you like call PD directly and they like walk you through it. But we try to use logic and technology to do these things like in a bulk load, right? So if we can get if we can just bulk load everybody's kids in that are closest to the testing date, it will work for all of you. But most of the districts, which they built the system for, are just going in there and moving their grandson or their cousin's kid. They're just moving them around. So it works for them. So anyway, I'm just telling you, like, that's all that I noticed that with everything that whenever we change, the systems weren't built for APS.
I mean, we were able to go in, whatever PD loaded, I
Yeah.
didn't even care. Because I would delete everything, and
Yeah.
I would upload the file for the district. And it was cleaner and more updated, etc. But we don't have that option with this.
And I'm
Maybe
not-
moving forward?
Maybe. But I'm not saying this to make you guys like, oh, well, who cares? No, like, so I'm just saying we always have to come up with these interesting solutions. But what I'm trying to push and what Dr. Bowman has been helping us with is, now that we have a PED that says, well, the district can, well, I don't know, they can do whatever they want. We're trying to use that and say, well, this is what we need. So like, we're trying to see their ways, because they talk to Claudine a lot, because Claudine's a master of living. But they're actually like, oh, well, what does APS need? Oh, we know they need a separate part. Like, we can't even load our files to stars because it crashes their system. I don't need to do that. But they can't handle, like all of our state reported files can't even go in their website because it just crashes. So like, they have a totally separate process. So what I'm hoping is that we all know that there's going to always be issues. But how can we talk to each other and come up with like a solution that will work better for everyone? So that's why I'm saying, like, we're going to see if we can push this 120 because I know that will help all of you guys. But bear with us, because I don't like looking for it, but we hear you, and you're right. It's just how can we work within the system to get the best outcomes for our kids, which we have a lot of limitations. That's like a backwards.
Did I understand right that they're gonna help us to get the list before it's
Yes.
actually there in the system?
Yeah, because like right now, like I can tell you right now who all your kids are, right?
In the 150.
Well, we're gonna see, but we want to see
120.
if that can help. We're gonna try to see if that pool can also push their system. But yeah, I mean, I can tell you right now all your kids, right? Like, so can you, but we can do it for you. So anyway.
Okay.
I hope that's.
And the course exam. So we will have a makeup window for senior retakes in case you have still some stragglers. Again, they're optional, they're not required. Some are giving them, there's the window. Lori's not here, so I'm gonna do this for her. The window is February 10th through the 14th. For the spring, we will offer science and social studies. Again, they are optional. The window is April 27th through May 15th. And they're going to be on based on the class that they're in. So that's the difference in the makeup course on for the senior retake.
So I would tell the teachers, no, you don't have to.
It's not required, it's optional. But because they're part of the menu of options, we need to make them available, and that's what we're doing here.
I told my teachers that if you have a student who you don't think is going to be able to pass your exam, then you need to offer the end of course exam.
And again, the graduation requirements still the same. No primary alternate demonstration of competency. No ADC waivers sent to PD. The menu of options are still available, as well as the APS menu of options. So usually counselors take care of this. of the ones that, you know, are meeting a certain domain by going to college, etc. And there's a synergy date that they have to be entered in April 24th. Usually the counselors at the schools take care of this, but just so you know. And SIS has been training them on what to do on a deadline.
Oh, she's not signed.
Okay. Oh, I knew that was
Or you
the
can
others.
do it.
Okay, so here, so if you go to myaps.edu, you can see some, they've updated the links. We'll work on seeing what we can get up for the SAT, PSAT, etc. But if you go to we updated those. And who's doing this?
I don't know.
Come on.
I did it at,
You did it.
I did it in the elementary, so it didn't matter. Okay, so if you want to have infrastructure testing done at your school by technology, you need to submit a ticket or call the help desk. So what they only it's not mandatory, but if you are testing like on new devices, you got new labs, or maybe you're borrowing devices and testing on those, and you want to do an infrastructure test, and you just want to make sure things are going to work before you start the ASR or before you start SAT. If you want to, you can submit a ticket or call the technology help desk and ask for infrastructure testing. And they will come out and assist with that.
That involves students?
No, I believe it's just devices. It doesn't involve students, does it, Melissa? The infrastructure testing?
I think it can. I think that's where
I'm
the
sorry,
schools
what's
may
that?
participate as a practice or dry
Right.
run.
Well, they're not gonna actually take the test or a dry run, it's just checking the devices, correct? Is the way I understand
Right,
it.
just kind of like a stress test.
Yeah.
So I know Wi-Fi was a concern when we went out to some of the schools. We did meet with technology, and I think I don't know if you guys have noticed a drop in your the number of devices that are dropping off of Wi-Fi, but it should be greatly improved. But when I think of infrastructure testing, I'm thinking about the pre-administration. So if you want technology to be a support, you could issue a ticket.
Yes. Or ahead of time.
That's kind of what I have in
Yeah.
mind.
And it's basically for those of you using new devices or new labs, or maybe if you're borrowing district devices.
So you're not gonna require like a day apart kind of thing for the SAT?
Correct. It's not required, but it can be done.
Jessica has a question.
Jessica.
I love that.
So I'm planning on doing like a day in the park, but I don't know what I'm calling it. Anyways, to do the pre-administration, will it test the Wi-Fi and all that stuff at the same level as SAT and stuff like that? Do you think? Will it stress out the?
Yeah, that's the idea of this.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know what that looks like because I'm not a tech person, but they are willing to support. So yes.
For those of us that have asked for testing of computers, when will we find out when we get them? And would they be available for the pre-admission testing?
Did you submit them through a ticket, that
Yes, I
request? Okay. I don't know when that will be determined. That would be a follow-up that we would have, and we do meet with technology once a month, so we can ask what's the turnaround on letting you guys know. So how long has that ticket been outstanding?
I put in after that meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can ask them, or you may want to follow up with them on that. Okay, so we did talk about accommodations as far as the PSAT, SAT. We're gonna have that drop-in support session. And then also, just to backtrack on the Cognia, there was a one-pager that listed accommodations or supports within the iTester platform. And it had one column that was universal, so things that are built into the platform. And then there were accessibility that need to be assigned within the portal. And then the last column is those accommodations. One thing to note is over on the content area, it does say ELA and math. Please ignore those. The only thing relevant to you guys for iTester and Cognia is the science. So just a quick note on that. We talked a little bit about the non-standard accommodations. about that form that's required for specifically things like the blood glucose monitoring. So that form is available. I know that College Board, we have that on our parking lot to check specifically about that. And then there's also instances where we have emergency accommodations, such as a student breaks their arm and they need extra support. If there's time, then an emergency 504 can be put into place. If not, then we'll put that non-standard accommodation form. Okay. For major medical emergencies, there's the medical exemptions form. This is a little bit different than it's been in the past. It's a new process. So for this, it's just serious illnesses, serious injuries. It does have to have documentation from a licensed provider, documented in the IEP or 504 if student has one. So what you'll do as the test coordinator is you're going to go directly to this portal, and there's a one-pager of information that you will submit, and then on your end you're going to file all of your documentation at your school.
Which tests?
So this would be for any of the tests, for science, Spanish, anything that would medically exempt that student from taking it.
But not SAT.
Or SAT, PSAT as well. Yes. So again, if you have this open and you're looking at this electronically, this is a live link.
This is just if they're not gonna take it.
This is if they need to be exempt, yes, because of a medical reason, something serious. Otherwise, if it's just an emergency, that's the other instance, like an emergency accommodation. But they're still going to take it, they just need extra support. This is their exempt because of an illness or something like that. So this would be like for participation rates. You know, you're exempt. Okay, you have a question? Jessica?
Okay, so, for sure, so, figuring this out, if they, first of all, do students still have, not that we want to encourage it, but do they still have an opt-out option? We're gonna get to that. Oh, okay.
So we will talk about.
We will talk about that in a moment.
Actually, is that next? No.
Almost
So just
wrong.
hold that, Jessica. Okay. Test security, your other favorite topic.
Okay, so we are doing test security just like we did in the fall for spring 2020. I have made some slight changes, okay? Some slight changes. But so basically the same people need to take it, okay? Everybody's supposed to take it. The non-disclosure agreement's built into Canvas. It's required twice per year. We're currently updating it to match what PED changed. I have had 35 people go in there and take the TA quiz, which I just took that out so no one has the option of doing it yet because the course is not ready. But so, but it will be ready by February 10th. Okay, so the actual on the Canvas dashboard, this is what they're going to look like. So I changed things a little bit. Hopefully people won't take the wrong course. So for STCs and principals, they still take the STC course. This is what the dashboard icon will look like. This is for test administrators, which is teachers and other licensed employees. And then for everyone else, the EAs, the office staff, custodians, clerks, anyone else that's an APS employee should take the staff one. Okay. The courses, again, will be available Monday, February 10th. And they're going to be due on April 3rd. Okay. If for some reason someone is testing, like your TAs for the New Mexico ASR, they should finish it before then. They should not wait until April 3rd to do it. So if they're doing testing for the spring, they should get this course done before they're actually being a MES test administrator or a proctor or anything. So the name of the quiz, the actual quiz in the Canvas course will say Spring 2020. So instead of just saying test security quiz for TAs, it'll have that in there. So if someone gives you a screenshot of a test completion with 100 and it doesn't say Spring 2020, it's not from that course. It's from a course last semester, last year, 2 years ago. Okay.
Staff members who do not and will not be anywhere near the tests and are the pain in the butt to get them to finish it. Right?
We'll talk about that in a second, and I'll give you some options, but yes, I agree. So there's still an option for a completion certificate if you would like to require that at your school, or if they would just like a completion certificate. Okay, if they are not enrolled in the correct course, they're going to self-enroll using a URL, not by searching a course like last year. So it's the same as we did in the fall, where they have to click a URL. The difference is now, next Friday on February 7th, you're going to get an email with some links to email templates. One for the STC course for principals and other STCs at your school. One for teachers and licensed staff, and one for everyone else who takes the staff course. So there's 3 separate emails with only their URL in it, so that they won't enroll in the wrong course. And there's directions on there, and we have 3 templates, so that'll hopefully make it a little bit easier, and people won't be self-enrolling in the wrong course. So you'll get that next Friday. And then for anybody who's not an APS employee, they will not have access to Canvas. So you would train them in person, and what we recommend is for you to enroll yourself in the staff or the TA course, sit down with the person and go through it, and then have them sign a non-disclosure, which is on our Google site. You keep the original, send a copy to Claudine Sanchez. Okay? If there's anyone, again, that's for anyone at the school who it doesn't have an APS ID number or cannot go into Canvas, yes.
As a charter school, we don't have access to
No,
that.
you would do, your charter schools would do their own test security course, just like you've done in the past, yes.
And
Okay?
if you're non-disclosures at your school site, the only one I will need towards the end is the principal verification.
So we are going to still have the test completion status, test security tracker on the SAPR website that we got working last semester. Okay, so you're going to monitor the completion report, and anyone who's not complete, it's your responsibility to do your best to get them to complete it. Now, we have the tracker, which you can see by zone, by school. You can see a list of who's completed and who hasn't completed it at your school. Now, the upload into Canvas is not a perfect process. It might load a secretary into the TA course. It might load a principal into the staff course. It's done by all these codes from SIS through a bunch of processes. So people may be in the wrong course. That's when they would self-enroll. They do not have to do the course that they are in if it's not for them. Like most of you probably were self-enrolled into the TA course and not the STC course. Okay? So on the test security tracker, you may see people's names on there that do not have to test. Officially, the only ones that do not have to test, it was on a couple slides back. Where is it at? The only ones that are exempt are SLPs, OTs, adaptive PE teachers, and other ancillary staff, where it's specifically in their contract that they do not have to do test security or participate in testing. Okay? If there's anyone at your school that is no longer at your school, is on maternity leave or any type of leave, or is exempt, and their name is on your list, you email me the names or email assessment@aps.edu, and I will take them off the list. Now the question earlier, what if there's people at your school that aren't involved in testing? If your principal and you as the STC are going to take responsibility and say that they will not have anything to do with testing, means they won't escort people to the bathroom, they will not be accepting any testing materials, they won't be on campus, if they want to take responsibility, you email me the name and I will take them off your report. We cannot disenroll them from the course, but I can take them off your report so they won't keep showing up. But you have to email us those names and we'll take them off. But we have to have documentation, and then because your principal is going to have to sign the principal verification form next semester saying that they trained everybody on their campus. So it's up to the principal and you. Any questions on test security? Okay. Parental refusal.
Yes, APS still offers a formalized system for parent refusals. And we do want to remind you that parent refusals do count against the school's required 95% participation help manage these parent refusals. And you can find the form located on that website, which is part of our assessment website. What we ask for you to do is to really try to encourage the parent to have the student take the test, because you know what? They're going to need to take it anyway, right? I mean, this is kind of important, particularly PSAT and SAT. But you know, you may have that parent that is just flat out advocating and adamant that they are not going to do it. And so this just kind of formalizes the process. It helps us keep track of things for your school. And if we see that there might be like a huge problem happening, we'll reach out to you and say, hey, you know, is there something that we might be able to help you with? When the parent completes the form, please keep the original at your school and send the copy to me at 400 City Center West. My name is Steve Miller, and I will tag the student appropriately in Synergy. Now, we do say that the due date for the forms is to be turned in before the assessment window, but I think we all know what happens. Sometimes these things aren't on a parent's radar until the student comes home and says, I have to do this and I don't want to, or whatever it might be. And so, yes, I will accept forms even after the testing windows are open. Okay? Any further questions regarding parent refusals?
And this is a yearly, I don't have to.
This is yearly. It is annually. This does not, the parent can say, I refuse for my student to test from here to eternity. That's great. That's what you want for your child, but we need you to confirm that annually, please. Here's the form. Okay? All right. Any further questions regarding that? Okay, and now to my favorite subject, testing irregularities. Okay. Testing irregularities are specifically defined as any incident in the handling or administration of an assessment that results in the ability to question the accuracy or the data of the secured test. Now, there's a lot of things that can happen in the testing environment that could compromise the security of the test. And one of the biggest things is cheating. And yes, we do have students cheat sometimes. And yes, we also have teachers cheat sometimes. And that's terrible. But it happens. And in the event that something strange is happening in the testing environment, the test administrator, who is the person that is administrating the test, it's a teacher, must report that immediately to the STC. The STC must report it to the principal and to assessment. The people that handle the irregularities in assessments, the ones that first touch it to triage it, are me. I'm the lead, Christoph Grunder, and Claudine. And if you have a question, if you're going to email, whatever, please put the three of us on that email. And really, it's not because we all have a collective email brain. It is so we can get to you quickly. One of us may be busy doing something, and the other isn't, and we just want to be able to get to you quickly. And Christoph. Yes.
And you can't remember that. This is
just
different.
assessment at APSW.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Now, here's the thing. College Board has some very, 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 very strict guidelines. And those guidelines are in the test administration manual for College Board. I'm not going to get into all of those things right now because it is very, and I cannot emphasize those varies anymore, complicated, and it's a lot. If there is an irregularity during your SAT, you must report to us, but you're also going to be submitting that report directly to College Board. And the reason why we want you to report to us is so we can help you, so we can get in front of this with you, so that we can be aware of what's going on, so that when the College Board contacts the PED and the PED contacts us, we have the information and we can tell them what we've done to support. Okay?
A student cheating. Now, one of the things that I read was that students have to have some form of do any other high schools have a plan for that?
You don't have to have that with the SAT school day. That is not a form of what? ID. That's only on the non-school day. It does say that in the manual.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So,
Okay, so if it's a teacher that doesn't know the students, I mean, but you're gonna have a roster, I mean, I guess there could be cheating there. That's what I'm saying, I mean, it's not a student ID known that, like, you know, Joe, that's brilliant, goes in and takes an exam for me, so I can get into Harvard.
Right.
I mean,
So student IDs, yeah.
so I was wondering if anybody has any idea.
you may want to set up a system for that. And that's going to be another step in the process. And remember, there's only 4 hours. So that may be something that you want to set up for yourself if you're putting students in a room where a TA might not be familiar with that student's name and face. Other examples of cheating are use of cell phones or other electronic devices, smartwatches, earbuds, other listening devices. Students not receiving the accessibility features or accommodations before the test begins, as required in their legal plans, and an educator using secure testing materials for practice testing or missing secured test materials. So, the best way to not have an irregularity is to try to avoid it before it happens. And this is part of your pre-planning. And there's going to be a lot of pre-planning for you this semester. So you're scheduling, make sure you're scheduling sufficient time to complete the test as you have to. And I know it says complete before lunch or the end of the day. Those are for the ASR and so on and so forth. But schedule your times and particularly follow what the College Board manuals say. And before student testing, make sure that they're matched correctly with their state IDs. The accommodation and accessibility features are assigned. And again, we can't emphasize enough that your technology is working. That's why we want you to put in those tickets and make technology aware of any kind of issues that you're having. And also have a system for monitoring those student electronic devices. Where you're going to put them when they come in to the testing environment.
So there are tickets?
You know, this is overall encompassing, and if you're doing the ASR, there's going to be testing tickets. Okay, so this is all encompassing. I know that SAT is like the big thing in the room, but we have a lot of tests going on this semester. It's not the only thing in the room, it's the biggest thing in the room, but it's not the only testing scenario that you will be in this semester. And make sure that your testing administrators know that they are to monitor students and what they're doing, that it's not a chance for them to take a break or grade papers or do something else, that they need to be actively monitoring and watching. And we do have upcoming support sessions for you. They are listed here. Please take notes of those. We're having NMASR drop-ins in February. We have an SSD coordinator drop-in session scheduled on February 13th. We're going to provide some more College Board SAT, PSAT sessions that will be scheduled in March, and you'll be given ample notification for that. Also, for NWEA or iReady trainings, if there's teachers at your school that are still using that, we do offer some site-based training by request. You can email us at assessment@aps.edu to put in that request, and we'll be happy to come out and work with your teachers for that.
on pre-administration. And you will hear more about that in the training that comes up next week from the College Board side. Second thing, I did the research, and students must be in their seats by 8:30 a.m. to start the SAT. The SAT is not the same, but SAT, they have to be in their seats by 8:30. So if that is more than the three of you, and actually I even need the three of you, to come see me so that I can support you and figure out what we need to do to help you, okay?
One of the biggest questions I have is students who are on extended time, what's the lunch break plan?
You have to do it on 2 days.
Can we test on 2 days?
Yes.
Can test on 2 days?
For the extended time only.
But is it for the 100% or the 50%? For both of them?
They have all of each schedule. There's like 8 different options. You look at the manual in that appendix. There's a bunch.
So, we have one more question, and if you have additional questions, we do have a parking lot. We'll stick around for a little while longer. Let's take this one last question, and you know what? I want to thank you all for the rich conversation and for your questions, and for any of you that have been around as long as I have, I don't know, Rhonda and I have been around for, never mind. We've been around for a while. But you know what? This is a change that's happening. And there's an old term called building the airplane while you're flying it. That's kind of what's happening here. And we do appreciate your questions. We appreciate your thoughts. And we also appreciate your patience and professionalism as we are going to offer that service back to you as well. So, your question.
I think this only applies to our school because we have daycare on site, so we go by CYFD. So if we delay the lunch for the babies in the daycare, I don't know.
You know, let's talk, because that is a very site-specific question, and it's involving infants. And so let's look at that later by ourselves, okay? And please complete our survey for our feedback so that we do know how to better serve you. Thank you again.
That's all I'm doing, I promise. I'll stand by everything. This is closer to my. I don't mind. There you go. I appreciate it. This is the learning curve right
So it's not necessarily required that they start a video, you're just saying because it's going to.
No, it's required.
Can I say goodbye? So like 9 o'clock, we have to make this separate.
Obviously,
So I guess that's how, so we're gonna have to chat about getting our kids there earlier or should we
Yeah. Well, I don't know Well, I think, yeah.
But you're saying
having to
testing?
write every single
Oh,
slide.
yeah.
So that's what we're gonna make. You got it. Okay.
Can I have different groups? Can I have like? Next week. That's what I was gonna have, like, I'll have kids, I'll have, I mean, start at well, my website has zero backlinks there.
I just did a lot of research.
So then my technical she can't press it over me in like powerful And I put 2 proctors in there for 30 kids. So that's just, yeah. So
What do you guys think? When I was a teacher, I would keep track of all the kids. But the kids liked it because, but I was like,
we talked about doing that too. Activities in this oh my god, that's inspirational.
Most of the spring semester teachers just take this kind of thing to projects.